Is marijuana a gateway drug? Let's talk about that when we come back. This is Rob Bell, and this is Rob's Rants. Is marijuana a gateway drug? Well, some certainly think that it is. People have this belief that when you start smoking marijuana, eventually you will graduate to harder drugs like cocaine, crack, methamphetamine, crystal, and heroin. And most recently, Oxycontin and some of the prescription drugs that are hitting, especially the suburbs, at an alarming rate. And so the question is, kids who smoke marijuana are at some point going to be the kids that become the junkies of our community. Certainly marijuana is the drug of choice for a lot of young people out there. And if you talk to young people who smoke marijuana, their view on that subject is that, no, it's not a gateway drug. Marijuana is simply the drug of their choice, and they have no desire to graduate to a stronger drug. They like smoking weed. That's their thing. It gets them mellow. It makes them creative. It kind of makes them fall back. And, getting involved in other drugs such as heroin, marijuana, crack cocaine, and methamphetamine is certainly not something that's on their plate. They're of the belief that people who graduate to stronger drugs simply do that because that's their choice. They do that simply because it's something that they maybe want to experiment, and in completing the experiment, find out that that's something that they want to engage in. And so, it's not the fact that marijuana is the first drug that people start using, and then as a result, they want to get a quote unquote stronger high. And so they start graduating to other drugs. There are certainly some people who do that, again. And then there are people who are just able to continue to smoke weed and have no desire to do nothing else. What's your thought on that? Should kids be smoking marijuana? Should they just not even be dealing with drugs at all? Should they just leave it alone? Do you smoke marijuana? There's certainly a lot of adults out there that get high too. And, are they graduating to stronger drugs, or it's just something that they choose to do because they like the effect of marijuana? So I don't know. The jury is still out on that. There, I guess, are some scientific studies that say people who smoke marijuana have the propensity to graduate and go to a stronger drug because marijuana is being labeled the gateway drug. And there are certainly a lot of drug institutions out there that say you shouldn't be engaging in any drugs at all, any mind-altering substances, because at some point you're going to want to see where those substances take you. And, simply graduating from marijuana to a stronger drug is just in the cards. There are people who will tell you that. I don't know. This is a tough one, people should have the choice to kind of do what they want to do, but in having that choice, you start to engage in using drugs and it elevating you to a stronger drug, now it starts to create problems for you. I'm an advocate of eradicating drugs from the community, period. I think that, of late, all drugs have become a problem in our community. When you start to use mind-altering substances, you are not in your right mind, and all kinds of things can happen when it comes to you being in a different state of mind, especially when you start to associate it with the crimes that occur in our community. Again, going back to statistics, most people who engage in crime, a high percentage of those people are either under the influence of drugs or alcohol. And so certainly, if you want to kind of stop or squash some of the crime that is occurring in our community, you have to address the sub-issue of drugs and alcohol. And certainly alcohol is a drug as well, and we tend not to really look at that and think about that because it's legal. And, you know, we don't want to lump that in with everything else. But it's a drug as well. And now the big issue is there's a push for, you know, society to really look at heroin as being a big issue, because now heroin is in the suburbs. Well, damn it, heroin been in the suburbs. And now that the suburban kids are getting high off of heroin, it now has become an issue. Well, you know, it wasn't an issue when people down in Kensington and Philadelphia, which is, you know, one of the areas where a lot of people use heroin occur. It wasn't an issue when those folk down there were getting high. It wasn't an issue when back in the day the drug of choice was heroin and people were getting high. But now all of a sudden that heroin is the issue in the suburbs, it's a possibility of it becoming an epidemic. And I don't want to go off on that because that's a whole another thing for me to rant about, because I started out this rant about marijuana being a gateway drug and how you feel about whether it's the drug that, you know, propels you into using other mind-altering substances that are stronger than marijuana. What's your view on that? You know, after looking at this video, give me some comments on whether you believe marijuana is a gateway drug or not. When you come to channel 906, go into the comment section and give me some comments on that. Next week, there will be no Rob's Rant shows for the entire week because Rob is going on vacation. And so I will be back the following week, and I will be posting more Rob Rants when I come back. And hopefully you will continue to enjoy our shows. And so we'll take a small hiatus, but we'll be back. This is Rob Bell, and this is Rob's Rants.